Hello and welcome to Food for Thought. Mark Lockridge here, pastor of New Life Fellowship in Letterkenny and Milford Reformed Presbyterian Church. It's good to have you with us again. I was reading a book called A Quest for More by Christian author Paul Tripp. Tripp starts off the book with the classic scenario from beauty pageants the world over. The beautiful girls parade across the stage, and then each is brought forward to the microphone to utter some deep cherished hopes for their reign as Miss wherever. Usually it's something along the lines of, I want to work for world peace, and to solve world hunger, and to help avert climate disaster. And perhaps we snigger and roll our eyes. Noble goals, no doubt, but so grandiose and out of reach. Yet Tripp goes on, not to mock, but to point out that there is, quote, woven inside each of us a desire for something more, a craving to be part of something bigger, greater, and more profound than our relatively meaningless day-to-day existence. Maybe that's why we strive to do things that others haven't, climb mountains or row oceans, or to invest ourselves in causes, political, social, sporting, or whatever, to give us a sense of being part of something bigger and more significant. That buzz you get from being there when your school won a final, or when Donegal won the Sam Maguire, or from being part of a team refurbishing an orphanage, or from even watching some historic event. That sense of, I was there, or I was involved, or I did that. Tripp writes, we aren't constructed to live only for ourselves. We were placed on earth to be part of something bigger than the narrow borders of our own survival and our own little definition of happiness. I don't know about you, but that resonates with me. We were made for something much bigger than mere existence. We were made for something great. Not necessarily to be great, that would be arrogance, but to be involved in something that matters. We all want to matter. Perhaps the beauty contestant isn't so far off the mark after all. In that often mocked moment, she has got something right. The desire to live for something big. But where can that be found? There's nothing big enough or grand enough in this world to satisfy that desire. So many podcasts at the minute are all about being successful, from self-appointed gurus on Instagram or YouTube trying to convince you that you're just not trying hard enough, or that if you make the right choice and maximize every minute, then life will be successful and fulfilling. And yet, what do we know from highly successful people? Don't they tell us that success is not fulfilling? That success doesn't satisfy? You see, we are made for something bigger. Tripp tells of one such man he came across who had everything but complained, I have it all. Why can't I be happy? And Tripp comments, he had constructed his own kingdom, indulged his every dream, met his every need, but he discovered it was an empty kingdom, and he was an empty king. That epitaph could be written over many lives of successful people. An empty king. The tragedy was not that he had attempted too much, but that he had settled for too little. Perhaps as we see the emptiness of possessions and the futility of pursuing material goods, we need to rethink what it is that we are living for and ask the question, is it big enough? You see, it's only when we look Godwards that we find something big enough and grand enough to live for, something worth living and dying for, something that takes what seems to be an ordinary life and connects it into something that is extraordinary, something that can make the bitter moments of life sweet, and the sweet moments of life a foretaste of something even better to come, something that makes our lives matter. Our lives are small, but when we connect them to God through Jesus Christ, we will find that they take on a significance and meaning far beyond anything we can imagine. Thanks for listening. If you want to get in touch, drop me an email, mark@newlifefellowship.ie. Until next time, here in Finn Valley FM, have a great week.